Lovely listeners, welcome back to another episode of Money Moments on It's No Secret. Today, we're joined by Chief Marketing Officer at PocketSmith, Dora Yip. Thank you, Dora, for coming on the show. How are you this morning?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. PocketSmith have been a friend of Kernel for pretty much the whole time we've been in business. So it's really exciting to have you on. I know we've had Jason on the show before, but for those of our listeners that aren't maybe familiar with what PocketSmith are and coming across to you for the first time, can you just give us a brief intro of yourself?
Sure. So I'll talk about PocketSmith first, and we
Yeah.
are software, personal money management software for what we call the household CFO. Now, what is the household
Mm,
CFO? That's usually the person at home who pays the bills, keeping track of savings,
yeah.
seeing where you are with your bigger goals. And in my household, at least, they usually know the majority of the passwords to things. So them.
Yes.
We're
I
built
know
for
that
them.
person.
Yes, if
Yep.
it's resonating with
Hmm.
you and if you're
Hmm.
listening at home and you're nodding, then you are that person. If it's
Yeah.
not
Whether you
resonating,
want
then
to
there's
admit
someone
it.
else. Yes.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, it's like calling yourself that title might be a bit confronting. But yes, as you point out, if this is the behavior that you're doing, you are the household CFO.
You are. And some people willingly do it, and some people are
Mm,
more reluctantly pulled to it. So in my case, I'm the latter. I'm a reluctant household CFO because I probably hate it less than my husband. So I've ended up doing it. And
love
what do I
that.
do? So I'm the chief marketing officer for the company. It's very, very much empathy, human centered storytelling
Mhm.
brand role,
Love it.
and a little bit about myself. I guess fundamentally, what you need to know is that I call two places home. So
Oh,
I was
cool.
grew up in Singapore. Singapore is, tiny city surrounded by people, lots of people, productivity,
Yeah.
education, everything. And
Yes.
then
Yes.
I have also spent a lot of time in New Zealand. And about 10 years ago, I moved to Dunedin with my husband and my then two really young kids. And
Mm,
can't get more different than Singapore. So I'm like surrounded by amazing views and landscapes and stuff. But I still find myself more interested in humans than the spectacular
yeah.
scenery. Don't know
Yep.
what that says about me, but that's the truth. Yeah, so that's my story.
I love that. I love that. And I guess quite a difference in appetite or understanding of money and the culture around money between the difference of New Zealand and Singapore? Is that something that you've had to adjust or you did adjust to, or maybe now that you're a bit older, you've reflected back on and realized is a bit different?
Yeah, so I think culture plays such a big part
Mm,
in your attitude to money or how you talk about it, and families as well. So I can't speak for the lived experience of others, but certainly my own personal journey. Money was not something that my parents like taught me or like talked to me a lot
yeah.
about, but they modeled it. So definitely my money habits really just ingrained from a very young age. And an interesting kind of nugget of information about Singapore is that kids are really independent, I think, from quite a young age, in the sense that,
Okay.
like from when I was 6, I had my own wallet, and you don't have like lunch boxes. All schools have amazing canteens, like really cool food courts, right?
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So you've got,
Cool.
from the time you're 6, you're managing your
Yeah.
own wallet, you whatever
Yes.
your pocket money is, and you're deciding what to
Yeah.
do with that. So I was doing that
Yeah.
from when I was 6. I think I
Yeah.
started doing public transport from when I was like 10 or 11. And
Mm-hmm.
then most schools have a school bookshop. And so you're also making
Mm-hmm.
those financial decisions early. Like if I decide to not eat the plate of chicken rice, I can buy the stickers. And I mean,
Right.
stickers and pens are still my weakness to this day. Like I can't say no
Yeah.
to a good gel pen. It's terrible. So that really shaped my
Mm.
way with money in the sense that I've always
Yes.
been transacting, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And did your
Mm.
parents store like how was it described to you about how much money you got as a child? Was that sort of talked about in terms of was it an expense? Was it pocket money? Did you need to do anything in order to earn the money?
Yeah. So, okay. Well, two big kind of arcs to this. So the first one
Yeah.
is it wasn't really talked about. I would say the same way that it's talked about here. There's a lot of
Mm.
discussion at work right now about whether you pay your kids for chores that they do, or is that part of the social
Yep.
contract if you're part of a family? So
It's a very divisive topic.
it's a very, yes, it is. And I've actually got
Yep.
quite strong views, but I don't judge others for what they choose to do. But I certainly have my own views on that.
Yeah.
But in Singapore, when I was growing up, it was really modeled to me that you jolly well live within your means, So
Yeah. Okay.
it was very much saving culture. So you would
Mhm.
save to purchase something. And I don't think I ever spent every last cent of my weekly
Wow.
pocket money.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
one. And so like my mom and dad were teachers, they were educators. And, even as they got promoted, their lifestyle still remained largely the same. There was no like major
Right.
lifestyle creep or anything. So I did see
Sure.
that get modeled to me. And then I think the other arc to this is I actually started earning my own money from quite a young age. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
oh gosh, this might be a little known fact even to the PocketSmith crew, but I'll out myself here.
Yeah.
So when I was in my first year of high school, so 13,
Mm.
like this media company went around a few schools and did some auditions for like a show that they were producing. And I was
Mhm.
selected to audition by a teacher and I just went along and then I got the thing. And it was it's a bit cringy, but it was like a little teen talk show hosting gig. And I did
Amazing.
it for quite a few years. Yeah. Like game shows
Ah.
and weird,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
completely in it's all like not on YouTube, thank
Yeah, I
God.
was gonna
So
say you're lucky that this is well pre-YouTube era, so no one at
we
PocketSmith
use
can
it.
go and dig
No,
videos.
no. It's absolutely
Oh.
mind-bogglingly cringy, but it meant that I
Mm.
was basically earning a paycheck from when I was 13. So, well, I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't I don't even know what it was. It wasn't huge. It wasn't like
Yeah, yeah,
exploitation. But it wasn't like, yeah, I'm like Macaulay
sure.
Culkin.
Yes, yes,
But it
yes.
did,
And
yeah,
what did you do
it
with the
did help me.
money? Do you remember what you
Like,
did?
yes, I think
Saved?
I just saved it, and then
Mm.
I blew it all on a big trip to Europe, my first teenage backpacking
Okay.
trip. So
Yep.
that funded the whole thing, and
That's
why not? I think
awesome.
I was in Europe for like 5 or 6
Yeah.
weeks. It was amazing.
Amazing. That's so,
Yeah,
so
but it
cool.
was
So
years
cool.
later though. Like I just saved it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing. So how did that change when you moved to New Zealand? Or has it changed? Has any of the New Zealand culture around money kind of rubbed off on you?
So I think the main thing here is that I feel, regardless of where you are in life, like I would say most
Mm.
people I know are actually consciously budgeting right now.
Yep.
So that's definitely, I mean, that's definitely what I feel. That's a giant middle class of us, and we're all deciding whether this is the week I'm going to buy eggs or not. Like,
Yep.
I actually look at everything
Mhm.
right now just because
Yep.
of how expensive everything is. So I think the
Yes.
cost of living is, it's really different. There's a lot of
Mm.
talk in Singapore right now about rising cost of living. And when I was there
Right.
recently, I was telling my friends, it's like, you ain't seen nothing yet. Just come visit me in Dunedin for a week
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and then
Exactly. Ooh.
see. So I think
Yep.
that I'm definitely more
Mm.
aware, and I'm feeling like I have to be really a lot more intentional
Yep.
about my day-to-day choices here.
Interesting.
I've got no choice
Yeah.
but to be. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Nice.
Mm.
So you say your parents weren't, I mean, they were teachers, but not active teachers about money. So you were learning a lot of your behavior just, I guess, from kind of observing them, and maybe absorbing what they were inadvertently doing in the household. Do you remember having an aha moment as you were growing up around money, or perhaps even later in life? Because I feel like, your kind of aha moment where sometimes just something just clicks in your head, whether it's to do with budgeting, investing, like how you should maybe change your behavior, can happen at any time. So when did that happen
Yeah.
for you?
So that's a really good question. So I think my major aha moment comes a bit later in life, but I do have a
Mm.
little anecdote from my mom that I'd love to share with everyone, which is
Yeah.
I think a lesson that I learned very early on, and it's quite a
Mm.
feminist one actually, because she said women should always be financially independent. So you just always make
Mhm.
sure, no matter how loving your partner is or wonderful marriage you're in, make sure you always have an account that is yours. Never,
Yep.
ever, ever share that. Just that's yours. And I mean,
Sure.
so that's been since I was a really young kid. And that's really guided me. I haven't had to use that emergency fund, but if anything
Mm.
happens, I have one. And
Yes.
that's kind of cool. So that's
Yeah.
something that
Awesome.
stuck with me. I think she was telling me that from when I was, yeah, under 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that sticks with you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Of course.
Um, and then in terms of a bigger aha moment, I think this one really came when I had kids. With the
Mm.
first kid, I was a stay-at-home mom for 18 months. I took no pay leave from my job in Singapore, again, marketing and
Okay.
comms job. And you can
Yeah.
imagine that, that is a tough length of time to be away from an organization
Yes.
that was supported. And then when I made the decision to go back to work, I had to then balance all that childcare cost and the juggle and just
Yeah.
feeling like you're not good in any front. So at that time I was really demoralized. I remember just like thinking,
Yeah.
I don't know what's the point. Like there's no net gain. Most of my salary is disappearing
Mm.
to childcare and ancillary
Sure.
cost. And
Yeah.
then not to mention all the bugs and the illnesses and all of that, right? So you're like,
Yes.
oh goodness. And so
Mm-hmm.
the aha moment actually came with a really lovely chat that I had with my husband David, and he kind of helped me reframe it. I just remember him saying, it's not about the dollars right now. What you're doing is
Mm.
actually staying relevant in your career, and it's
Yeah.
keeping your future options open. And I think
Yes.
that really shifted my perspective, because instead of seeing childcare, time away, the bugs and the illnesses, all as like just one
Yeah.
big negative thing, I
Yes.
saw it as an investment, right, in myself and my career.
Of
And
course. Yeah.
yeah, and looking back, if I
Of
hadn't
course.
done that, I don't
Mm.
think I'd have had the confidence to keep building the career that I have now, and I wouldn't be
Yeah.
sitting here talking to you. So I think,
Of course.
the biggest lesson, the biggest aha moment for me was that one of the most powerful decisions you can make as a woman is choosing a supportive partner.
Yeah.
That's the
Amen
aha
to
moment.
that. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think, we have definitely talked about this on the show before where yeah, who you partner with in life is almost as important as the decisions you make yourself when it comes to money,
Yeah.
because it's all well and good to be phenomenal with money as an individual, but once you're no longer an individual, and to your point at the very start of like, if you ever take on a role as say a household CFO, that's a very big responsibility to have. And also it's actually really hard. It's very hard to make decisions about money with somebody else or on behalf of other people, whether that be a spouse or kids or whatever. Like that kind of onus of responsibility and burden that you put on yourself to manage those things is really, really challenging. And you do want to be with somebody that is going to make that as easy as possible, or somebody that you find you can align with very well, which I assume you and David can get on the same page about
Yeah.
things when
And
it comes to money.
I exactly. And I don't think we intentionally went into the
Mm.
relationship with any proactive discussion about that. So that
Yeah.
really was just like the values that we had, thankfully,
Yes.
kind of encompassed the decisions we make just in general life, like what books we read and what movies we watch, to how we make a
Right.
decision about money. So super, we're not rash with our decision making. And I think that the
Yep.
thing that has always kept it really real for us is we really just don't chase that sort of like competition or the envy of other things. So we're really just quite
Yes.
happy with like a core group of things that just make us who
Yes.
we are. So
Important to
that's always
you.
been, important to us, and we understand what
Yep.
fundamentally makes us us. So that's kind of cool,
Yep.
and that just means that we are the same people wherever we are in the world, and we've lived in a few places.
Yep.
So that's been
Yes.
a really big comfort. But again, I didn't really think about it until I was kind of like preparing for this
Mm.
interview, and I was like, that actually is the aha moment. It's quite a deep,
Yeah.
fundamental one. And I think if you get that right, it
Mm.
really does make everything work out much more smoothly. Yeah.
100. Yep. I so agree. Yeah. And it's tricky
Yeah.
because I think, you've hit on an important point of, I think you can still be well aligned even without necessarily having a lot of like financial dates. Because we recently, I was on a girls' weekend with a whole heap of my school friends, and we were talking about how, everybody's at a similar age and stage, and, how challenging it is to manage money as a household and with your spouse. And of course, between the group of us, there are people that have, they're down one end of the spectrum doing quarterly date nights and monthly check-ins or bi-monthly check-ins. They're probably the perfect PocketSmith customer, doing all the stuff, like tracking all the bank accounts, checking in, having lots of conversations. And then for others in the group, being able to do that is just really terrifying and completely unachievable, but they were still managing to get on the same page with their partner, just in a completely different way. And so, yeah, I think you kind of hit on a really good point that it's not necessarily about the behaviors that you undertake together. It's more values alignment, because ultimately we spend and use money in a way that's really aligned to our values. And if your values have a strong crossover with somebody else that you're in a relationship with, that's going to be key to essentially ensuring there's like limited conflict.
100%, like fully resonating. Woo! I think, one of the things is, this habit forming stuff, right? All the self-help books tell you to do it, and the gym and the barefoot investor guides and all that. So I think that works for a lot of people. And there's also just essentially understanding and being authentic to your values. So when I started using PocketSmith years ago, it was amazing to see that what I spent my money on reflected what I say I valued. And I think the dissonance will come is if outwardly you're presenting as someone that's values driven, but then when you actually look privately at your finances, and then you're like, oh, actually, no, that's what I really value. And I mean, it can be confronting, and money, it's a neutral thing. It helps you get places in life, but it's not the end point. It's just a means to an end. But 100%. The talking about it, what it means, it's never neutral, isn't it? Like everyone just has deep emotional responses to that. So
100%.
So I think for me, like I would love to be the date night monthly money check-in person.
Same. That would be the dream for me, but it's not going to happen either. No.
I'm not. I think how we work it, like, and it's been very organic and actually very, even like unthinking. It's just been natural. One person is aware of all the detail. I'm not super into detail in the rest of my life. So a lot of my brain bandwidth is taken up with this. And I'm just like, I hope you realize it's a sacrifice. And David's like, thank you for keeping on track of this, right? And the other person is supportive.
Highlight. Yeah, because there's a big mental load. And I guess it leads perfectly into a question of like, you say you're the reluctant family CFO, Dora. So what was it that made you, was it out of just... how did you land there? How did you get the role in the first place to be the CFO of the household? And what have been maybe the trade-offs that you guys have had to come to?
So, yes, reluctant CFO. And that was preceded by becoming a reluctant landlord. So when we moved from Singapore to Dunedin, we rented out our apartment. And it was actually not difficult. Like, it was a long-term tenant. It was okay. It was not a huge toll. But the issue was a few years later when in Dunedin, I can't even remember how this came about, honestly. Maybe I've traumatized myself and I blocked it off. But basically,
done.
Done. A few years later, I discovered, whoops, one has to pay tax on that overseas income. Whoops, one did not know. And that was the wake-up call. I was like, oh, dear me. And it made me realize that we really had to be a bit more intentional and do even more adulting. Like, I already thought we were responsible adults, but clearly not enough to know this information. So once I knew that, it was get an accountant, get 3 years worth of financial statements ready, all that. That was when I started using PocketSmith before I joined PocketSmith.
Yeah, right.
Cool. And I think if
that.
I had... Yes,
you're a customer before you join the team. That's cool.
Absolutely. So that was the sad state of affairs. And I did not realize it's now all in order. If anyone from the tax department is listening, I'm fully legit.
It's all good.
Good taxpayer. But it really rocked my core, because I'm a Singaporean and we really follow rules quite well, and we're all very like above board people. So I was quite shaken by my fundamental gap in knowledge. So that started me on the journey. Yeah.
Okay. That's that I can see how that happens and makes you the reluctant.
Thank you. Thank you for not judging.
Oh no, it's interesting that you call out the adulting part as well. And I think like the mental load of it, because that's certainly something that I struggle with as the family CFO is often there's a part of it that's like just tracking and making sure that, you know, what we think we're doing is what we're actually doing when it perhaps comes to spending money. And I acknowledge, could definitely be better at this by using tools, and, you know, making sure that things don't go awry. But then oftentimes there's things that come out the back of that are actually like to-do lists, like just little simple stuff of recently we were like, oh, we really need to get like sort of change our bank account direct debits to not all be out of this one account. We sort of need some out of this account and some out of this account because it's not really working. And that shit is just annoying. Like none of that is fun, you know? And
No.
it is sometimes one of those things where I'm like, man, I've just worked like a full day and then I come home and now I'm like hit with my to-do list of, yep, got to change where our insurance is deducted from, call the bank to do this other thing.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it is sometimes a little bit of a thankless job in the moment, but I guess very important as a role for the overall household, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think I'm guessing anyone who's listening who is this household CFO, you're all like nodding or just feeling this like and and I think that's
Yes.
21st century living. I mean, it's never been more fragmented than it is now.
Yep.
I just really I try on my end. I try my best to automate as much as I can. So I'm now a firm believer in automating everything, even if the setup is a bit painful. But if the
Yes.
payoff is like, oh, okay, I don't have to think about this again. And I automate all my reminders. So I've got my own personal Trello board. That's my to-do
Love
list.
that.
And it's a
Yes.
real thing of beauty. And that keeps me sane because I know that there are some things that I can like, you know, get rid of in like 10, 20 minutes, even if it's disgustingly onerous. If I can do that, I actually feel like it's a form of therapy for me. It's like, yay, productivity therapy.
Yep.
Yay.
Yes. I can resonate
But it
with
is,
that.
yeah. Yay, type A women unite. I think
Yes.
it's definitely just a hallmark of modern household living. And the more people or things or whatever you have, the more complex it becomes. And then if you add in multi-currency to it, like I was never able to see what my whole deal was, you know, like what am I worth? I don't know. Because it's just too many things everywhere. So that's the beauty of something like using a tool that can aggregate stuff and like, you know, do different currencies and stuff.
Cool.
But it is hard. I would say modern living is becoming just more complex. And
right.
You don't realize until you're in it that,
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So you've mentioned Trello as a tool. What else is kind of in your toolkit of things that you rely on to either make CFO duty easier or just kind of seamless communication or running of the household?
So Trello is just a me thing. I even plan like all our family trips on it, and then I invite everyone to just like slot yourself in where you can see free space. I think obviously PocketSmith. So I'm definitely one of like the standard use cases for PocketSmith is someone who is managing quite a complex household with multi-currency needs. And for me, like I'm personally not super detailed into my tracking of expenses. So I'm really just looking kind of like when you're looking at like improving your fitness, you track like your steps or your heart rate or whatever. I just track like one number, which is our overall net worth. And as long as it's like trending this way, I'm okay. So I don't have a goal. Oh gosh, like I can imagine my friend Ruth, the happy saver, if she's listening, she'll be like, you must have a goal, Dora. But my goal is just to be better.
I do agree with her.
Okay. All right. Well, we can talk more about that later.
But
no, I do have a goal, but maybe not like a fixed number. But
well, Dora, if it makes you feel any better, when we have surveyed, we talk about this a lot at events, when we've surveyed any of our Kernel customers and asked them like, why are you investing or why are you using the Kernel platform? The number one answer that we get is to have more money in the future. And I hate it because I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like, of course,
Yeah.
that's why you've got a Kernel account. And my problem is with that is I'm like, that's such an ingrained just statement, right? In the behavior
Yeah.
of obviously tracking your money. Like, you're doing that to be better in the future or have more in the future, more freedom, more flexibility, whatever that is. But I'm like, it just needs to be more specific. It needs to be more tailored. It needs to be more of a like statement or a story or a thing rather than just like be better.
Would this help? So I've got shorter term goals. So my
Okay,
shortest
that's
term
yeah.
goal, okay, is paying off my Singapore apartment in December. So we've only got a few more
Mm-hmm.
months left. So that'll be gone.
Amazing.
And then
Yep.
in 4 years, we'll be mortgage free with our New Zealand properties. So
Amazing.
that's the goal first. And then I think I'll
Yes.
be able to have
Think
more
about a
clarity
bigger.
then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Okay, you get points for that as long as you
Do
have
I?
some
Okay.
goals. Yes,
Okay.
definitely,
All right,
definitely.
I'll take a few meager points for that.
Yes,
On
perfect.
the tools.
Yes.
So there's obviously PocketSmith
Mm.
to track, and I do a lot of labeling of stuff and categorizing stuff in different ways to fit different
Right.
reporting needs that I might need to provide
Yep.
data for. And then I guess my favorite thing to use PocketSmith for is actually to store all my warranties and my receipts and all the tax
Mm.
deductible things. So you can do that as well.
Nifty.
But I also have a Google Drive to just keep everything so that my
Okay.
husband can access it as well. And then I think on the
I
investing
need
side,
I need this,
yeah.
Dora. I am that person that has a folder in our house with some of these important things not at all in digital form. And you saying that you have a Google Drive is making me stressed about the fact that, yeah, I have a very, very poor documentation method.
Again, no judgment. I will award you some points for this too
Thank you.
from my arbitrary point scoring system.
Love it. Love
On
it.
the
That's so good.
investing side, so I
Yep.
can go more into my. I guess I wasn't that financially literate when it came to investing. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
understand that in my 20s,
Mm.
and for most of my 30s as well, honestly. So really,
Okay.
it was only I think when I started working at PocketSmith. So I've been here 6.5 years now.
Yep.
Um, that's really when the awakening for investing came, and
Right.
I I went on a kind of a wee like discovery journey with my kids as well. So I brought them along for the
Yeah.
ride. My kids are now 13 and 17. The older one is actually really quite interested in that space. So yeah, so together, so I've got KiwiSaver, and then the boys and
Mm-hmm.
I we've got some investment funds, and then we've
Yep.
also each got a portfolio that we've curated of our own like ETFs and stuff. So
Cool.
that's quite fun. We look at that regularly, but we're not obsessed about it. I think
Yeah.
we've automated it. We don't think too much
Mm.
about it. We're in it for the long haul. But I just checked it this morning for my older one, Jordan, because he picked his
Yes.
own portfolio, and he
Mm.
automates like a weekly thing that goes from Pocket Money into it, and
Yep.
he's made a simple return of almost 60% since he started 3 years ago.
So
So I
he's
think that's quite,
stoked. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I think that's
100%.
pretty good, and it shows kind of like
Yep.
the value of just doing something
Yes.
consistently.
Yep.
So I think those are
Good
the harder,
lesson.
yeah.
Mm.
So in terms of the actual hard tooling, that's pretty
Cool.
much it, really. And
Cool.
then obviously that's the softer stuff, which is
Yes.
really just making those money conversations a regular part of our
Yep.
lives.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you started thinking about AI at all or like adopting anything to help you with your duties? The reason I ask is I guess one of the things that I find challenging as family CFO is sometimes just I obviously eventually talk to my husband about it, but sometimes I almost need to stress test a financial idea in my head first. And part of me kind of second guesses myself because I know what the financial advisor in me would say, but then that's often misaligned to what you in your emotional state would say. And I was doing this the other day and my husband was at work late, and so I just jumped on like Chat GPT and gave Chatty the scenario and was like, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm worried about, like, is this good? Kind of just like stress testing my own thought process first before then having the conversation with him, because I'd also not really gotten myself clear on where my head was at, and that's often then very hard to go and talk to somebody else about it when you are still maybe like figuring it out for yourself? So yeah, have you tried
100%. And I
anything?
think,
Yeah, there.
yeah, so that's actually a very interesting use case where you're using it to
Mm.
almost like role play and finesse your
Your
your own
idea, like,
storytelling,
yes,
your
is the
idea
idea
to,
even a good thing? Like, what
yeah,
have I
yeah.
overlooked something? Am I being a bit blindsided by this emotional outcome?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
sorry, before I go into my own thoughts about AI, but just that really picks
Yes.
up on an interesting point around how, as household CFO, obviously there's the actual work and the task
Yes.
driven nature of it, but there's also another hidden layer, which is the influence and the culture setting. Because
Mm,
if you want to, I mean, hard enough for one person, but if you want to bring your whole household along for a money journey, then you've
yeah.
got to understand their learning needs and what makes them tick. And you'll
Yes.
have to influence. And as marketers, we
Mhm.
know like it's a bit icky if someone knows that they're trying to be manipulated or be sold to. I don't want to do
Yeah.
that, obviously, within my own household, but
Yeah.
there is that element of you need to understand your audience, and
Mhm.
there's nothing more off-putting than showing someone all your detailed spreadsheets and hope that they'll geek out just as much as you will. It's kind
Oh,
of like, ew,
yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, well, I think we've all been there. So look at this, and they're like, oh,
100%.
really,
And they're like, "No,
you're,
thank you.
no
No.
thank you, no thanks,
No, I
and then
know."
they
And also I
kind of
think,
walk
if
away
you're gonna
slowly, and you're like, oh no, I've lost them.
yeah. And I often find like something that, if I go to say have a conversation or raise a topic with my husband about money, it's oftentimes after I've been thinking about that thing for quite a while. So I am coming into that conversation with probably 2 weeks worth of thoughts, and he's not even considered it. And so I think in some ways, me going to Chat GPT, yeah, you've been there, like, it was a
Yes,
good
yes.
thing because it sort of helped me have the pre-conversation that I needed to get it straight in my head, and then have a conversation with him that was like, hey, I've been thinking about this thing, and this is some of the stuff I've been thinking about. And I
Mm.
actually went in and I said to him, I was like, if you want to read the Chat GPT like history to get a sense of where my brain's at, do, because that might be helpful. And he
Yeah.
said to me, he was like, you're obviously a bit ahead of where I am at on this thought process. So let's just like give me until the end of the day to kind of digest what you've said, which was good. I was like, we've come a long way.
Yes.
In past money conversations, it probably wouldn't have gone as smoothly. But yeah, I think for me, who is the person that wants the spreadsheets and the details, I needed to have that in-depth conversation, albeit with like an AI bot, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that's actually perfect because you're using that to kind of, I guess, smooth out the edges of your thinking and
Mm,
and make it a little bit more shaped, so that when you're forming something to like pass on to your partner, it's not just
yes.
like complete like rambling
Yep.
math lady meme
All the
thing.
things.
Yeah,
Yeah. Numbers
all the
here, there,
things.
and everywhere.
Yeah,
Spreadsheets,
and then you're
formulas.
like that
Yeah.
person on the meme where they're like drawing all the lines and looking
Oh,
crazed.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yep.
I definitely have used ChatGPT. Obviously, I've toggled it so that it's not going to like let my thinking and my numbers go out to the
Yes.
wider world.
No, of
So make
course.
sure everyone who's listening do that in your settings,
Do the
your privacy
private
settings.
options. Yes.
Do the private options. Well, I did that actually very recently. And again, this is it just hasn't gone further than me and the
Mm,
lovely bot. But I was
yeah.
just saying, okay, well, hey, what is my financial status now? Like if I pay off
Interesting.
my Singapore apartment, and then actually what's coming in is pure rental income, and
Yep.
then I've got like a kid that is potentially gonna go to uni at some stage soonish,
Yeah.
and then what happens in 4 years when I pay off the Dunedin
The
property?
house. Yep.
Yeah, and like, hey, can you just tell me, am I okay? Like, it was literally like a really
Yeah.
like, I don't know if this is
Yes.
okay. And I got a really lovely, reassuring answer, and it gave me lots
Nice.
of different scenarios of what to do with
Mm,
that income once it's freed up. So that was
yep.
that. And then another thing I'm doing, I mean, this is a very small use case, but it's really helped. So I'm in active decluttering mode at the moment. I'm putting
Mm-hmm.
a whole lot of stuff on Trade Me, and using
Cool.
ChatGPT to write out my listings has really upped the
Amazing.
watch list and people buying stuff really
Oh my
truly.
gosh,
Yeah. It's
Dora,
like 30 seconds. It's so good.
I currently have a pile of items in our downstairs living room that I can't quite bear to just donate. I need them to just go to someone. And this is the thing that's stopping me. It's the work of listing things.
It's
Amazing.
so easy and it's so fun. And I mean, I'll give
Okay.
you a really specific example. Like
Yeah.
I've got all these old iPhones sitting around. The oldest one was
Mm.
like an iPhone 6S with like 16 gigs. Like who wants
Yeah.
that? And I was
Yeah.
like, I mean, I'm just wondering, should I donate this or should I sell
Yes.
it on Trade Me? And ChatGPT is like, oh no, absolutely, someone might buy it for spare parts. So just say that. Just say that, buy it for spare
Yeah.
parts.
What should I do?
Pixelated screen. Yeah, and then I listed it and it literally sold the next day for like $40, but still
Amazing. But still,
it's
yeah.
better than going to a landfill or me having to
Mm-hmm.
like cut it
Mm-hmm.
off to e-waste or whatever. So
Yes.
that it's really game changing. If you like those little things, it
Okay.
makes me very
This is
happy.
this is a great hack. I need this because I have that constant thing where I'm like, should I just give this to the salvos or should I try and sell it? Like, I'm not
Yes.
sure. And is the effort worth it? So anything to make the effort like a lot less. Amazing.
Yeah, and it can really just help you decide where the
Mm.
yield would be. So I've just
Yes.
donated a whole lot of stuff because even ChatGPT is like, nah, mate,
Yeah.
just take that away. I'm like, okay.
You're like, okay,
But
I hear
I
you.
was so certain that they would tell me to just like that the iPhone 6S is like completely no.
Yeah,
But
just irrelevant.
I exactly.
So
So
good.
so that's been really good. And yeah,
Mm.
that's a very accessible thing that I think anyone can do if
Awesome.
you want to get rid of little
Yeah.
things around the house. Yeah. It makes you feel
Yes.
so
Yeah.
good when the pile gets smaller, right?
Mm-hmm,
I love
mm-hmm,
it.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Love that. I am interested to hear, I guess, some of your reflections on budgeting through PocketSmith and kind of what you guys hear from your customers and feedback that you get, because whenever we talk about budgeting, people can feel a little bit ick about it. I think
Yeah.
even the word budget sometimes just really puts people off, and rightly so, because there's a lot of like negative connotations around having a budget. And so what, I guess, for you does kind of like good budgeting look like, or how would you want people to approach thinking about budgeting in a positive way?
So I would say we're absolutely an open kind of space for people to do whatever they want. Meaning, when I say open, I mean it's like an open world. There's no prescriptive way to do it.
Mm.
So the first thing I would say to someone is start with one question that you want answered. So obviously, in my
Yes.
case, when I was reluctantly pulled into this world, it was, jeepers, I might owe tax, like maybe 3 years worth of tax.
Mm.
Okay, help me sort that out.
Yeah.
So I think what we often see from a lot of people is, it's like the gym, right?
Mm.
You want to start off like doing everything possible, but is it
Yeah.
sustainable? So if you
Yeah.
start out with one thing first, so because in
Mm.
PocketSmith, you could really connect lots of different types of accounts. A lot of
Yes.
people do, but we would say, look, just start with like your main checking account first. Why don't you just do that?
Sure.
Get a
Yeah.
few insights and then see where that
Can
takes you.
expand. Yeah.
Yeah, it can expand. And I mean, you'll also then know, not everyone knows going in whether you love detail. Not everyone does.
Sure.
Whether you want to be like you're just tracking the number of steps you've walked or your heart rate. So if you're
Mm,
that
mm,
sort of
mm, mm.
person, you might just end up wanting to track one number, like, how much do you spend on a certain thing, or your
Yes.
net worth, or your overall income versus your overall expense. So if you know that's
Yes.
what you want, then you've got to set things up to get that information. So, so it's really an amazing tool if you know that you've got a question that you want answered. I think if you're going in
Yeah.
and you're like, I
Yeah.
want, like the gym, right? If I want the best body I
To
can
just
have and
yeah.
it's not specific, it's
Yes.
quite hard. The other
Yes.
thing, and this is all gym and health related as well. So personally for me, how I get over the ick is
Mm.
I just really dislike the concept of deprivation. So for me, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Like my mantra in life, it's a very, it's quite a like not deep mantra, but I like life to be fun and I like to feel comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
So if I like fun
Amazing.
and comfort in my own skin, then I'm not going to be sitting around chastising myself for not doing stuff or
Yes.
spending too much. So that's for me how I don't have the ick in budgeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's habit based, right? So if I know that I'm making better decisions than I was in the past based on better information that already makes me
Mm.
feel good. I
Yep.
definitely don't limit and be too rigid, even in a cost of living crisis. Like, I definitely understand, we're all facing that, but I
Yes.
try to just focus on the things I can control,
Yep.
and not really spend too much time dwelling on the things that I cannot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and try my best also, like, to compartmentalize and divorce that any kind of feeling of like guilt or shame if you look
Mm.
and see something that you don't quite like. And I think it's better to ask
Yeah.
yourself, like, okay, why is this provoking that response in me? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's really, really good. Um, that has prompted me to ask. Tim gave me a little bit of a heads up, Dora, about the fact that you had a
Oh
$1,000
no.
bubble tea story, which I think was some intel passed from your team to us. I have
Okay.
no context as to what this is about. So,
Oh my
are you
God. Okay.
able to? Are you able to share with us what happened here? Do you love bubble tea?
Okay, for listeners, for you, Kat, trigger warning. Okay, the trigger warning is there's a lot of sweet
Okay,
drinks. Okay, trigger warning, lots of sweet drinks, sugary drinks, and some shame. All right.
love it.
So, all right. So at the end of every year, so ever since I became the reluctant CFO, at the end of every year, I take some time at the end of the year to just poke around in PocketSmith, find some interesting patterns and insights. Okay, so this was
Mhm,
in
mhm.
2022. I did my year end
Yep.
review and I was like, oh, I wonder how much we spent on bubble tea because we did quite a bit of traveling that year. So, and we love having bubble tea in new places. And so
Yep.
that's when I did the math, and it was like PocketSmith just gave it to me in literally like 10
Seconds.
seconds. And I was like,
Oh no.
yes, Dora, $1,200. And so the first thing
Oh.
was guilt, shame. I mean, it's a
Mhm.
ridiculous amount of money to spend on a sweet drink. Then, so again, so back to my ick question, right? Earlier. So then I paused,
Mm.
like did some deep breathing. Literally, I was like shaking in a corner. And okay, realized a couple of things. Firstly, I wasn't drinking alone, lol. I usually had bubble
It's
tea.
not you just escaping the
So,
family, having bubble tea by yourself.
I wasn't hiding bubble tea behind,
Ah,
things. I
yes.
was having bubble tea usually with my kids. So they're 13 and
Yep.
17 now. So, there was like a
Yes.
tween and a teen back then.
Yeah. Yep.
And it really was our time to hang out. So if you've ever had bubble tea, you know that a lot of them have these little tapioca pearls and they're quite
Mm.
chewy. And one
Mm.
bubble tea can take like 45 minutes to drink. And then we just hung out and chatted. So you see, it
Yeah.
really wasn't about the tea. So when I went full circle,
Yep.
it was just something that we loved doing. So it would have been the same if we all liked
Mm.
playing mini golf and we just kept going to mini golf places.
Sure. Sure, sure,
It was
sure.
just bubble tea.
Amazing.
Yeah. And
Yes.
so
Yep.
when I realized that, I was like, okay, so that dollar value, yes, it shows I put a high value on bubble tea, but I also put a high value on spending time with my kids.
Mm.
And honestly, they're boys. And to get boys to like have chats with you, like just
Yep.
proactively, it
Yep.
was,
And hang out with
it
their
was
mum
hang with them.
happily for,
But they
an
were
hour or
happily doing
two.
that and chatting
Yeah.
while drinking bubble tea. So I was like, amazing. So
Yep.
no more shame on that front. And I've got a lot
Yes.
more awareness. And
Mm.
I now have a bubble tea budget in PocketSmith.
Love that. Love
Come full
that.
circle. But yes,
Yes.
sorry for the trigger
Perfect.
warning, everyone. And we
No, I
now
love
drink
it.
zero sugar, so it's no sugar added. It's sweet enough because there's syrups and stuff. But that was the
Oh,
big wake up call. I was like, oh
true.
my gosh, that's a lot of
You
sugar.
were like,
So,
"Ooh, yep. Oh my god, I love this. That's awesome. Yeah, that's so good.
but
I
yes, when
guess
I
that
talk about
it
it, my
does
God.
really highlight, yeah, like I guess the power of like, yes, people think that budgeting or having awareness on where you're spending money is a bad thing, but actually, this is a fantastic example of helping you reinforce the behavior that's really good, right? Which is like sometimes to spend time or quality time with people that does cost money, and that's okay, because it's more about the people and the relationships and the investment in them rather than necessarily worrying about, how much tea you're buying. So yeah, that's awesome.
100%. It's the why. I now
Yeah.
know why I spent so much on bubble tea. And now that I've done the full 5 stages of grief and
Mm.
acceptance, I've come
Yes.
away on the other side really more self aware and really just intentional. Now I'm just like, I'm fully committing to this and I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
I'm
Love
at
that.
peace with this.
Amazing. Love that. I feel like that is the perfect place to end. Thank you so much, Dora, for today. Honestly, so many great highlights, learning about your time in Singapore and, yes, being a reluctant CFO, but doing it very, very well from the sounds of it and using tools and other things to your advantage. So thank you so much for sharing openly and being just awesome.
Oh,
We
you're
really
so
appreciate
welcome.
it.
And after I meet my like midterm goals, we can have a chat about,
Yes.
yes,
Your longer term, yes,
my
yes. We'll check
yes,
back
yes,
in after December and be like, right, now that we've ticked that short term goal off, what's next? What are we doing? What's maybe 5+ years away? Very
yes,
interested
yes. I
to check
I'm
in.
definitely open, and I think just to round it all off, I think the main thing about being a household CFO, reluctant or not, is you don't know all the answers. It's just to
Mm,
keep being open to learning new things and being curious about your own money. I think that's just
yes.
been the number one mindset shift I've had to make, and
Mm,
has made the journey way more smooth. So thank you so much for
awesome.
having me. It's actually been such a blast, eh?
You're so welcome. Yeah, I know it's fun. It's like once you get over the nervous hurdle about talking about money, I'm like, oh, I could do this all day. So, yes,
So
love it.
nice.
Love it. Amazing. Thank you, Dora. Big thanks to Kernel for enabling us to do what we do. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe wherever you listen to us, whether that's on YouTube, Spotify, or any other platform. If you've got any questions or you'd like to connect with Dora, please feel free to hit us up at It's No Secret NZ, and we will connect you, or check out the PocketSmith team on their website or on Instagram. And we will see you soon. Thanks.